Hello, today we're going to be doing paella. Paella is made in a dish, in a pan that is flat. It's like a big wok that has been flattened. And it needs rice, chicken, pork, and many a times seafood. But since I have some people coming over, I don't know if they're allergic or not, the seafood will be done as an appetizer. We have minced up our onions. One size, medium size onion is good. We heated the pan with some olive oil. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's some steam coming off of here. So we're going to saute some onions and get them golden brown, nicely light and golden brown. I have chopped 1.5 onions. I tend to use the Spanish onion, the Vidalia onion. It's not as strong. I use the Vidalia onion because it's not as strong. It's nice and sweet. We'll spread it out through the whole pan. And in approximately 5 minutes or so, when the onion has turned golden brown, we will add the chicken and pork pieces. The chicken thigh, I take off the meat, use the bones to make the broth, 6 cups of chicken broth, and I use that for the part of the paella. So we have taken a whole package of chicken thighs, deboned it, used the bones to make broth for our rice that we will need after everything has been cooked. Paella is a well-known Spanish dish. It means of many rice dishes. The well-known one is the one that comes in the flat pan, such as this one. You will always season your pan with oil, onions, and garlic prior to putting in your meats. Some paellas are vegetarian, some of them are many meats, and some of them are seafood. Paella is also known mostly from Valencia, where they grow many different rices. The rice we will be using today is a short grain rice. We made our chicken stock with the bones from the chicken thighs. We've sauteed the chicken bones with onions and 6 cups of water and salt, and a package of Goya chicken seasoning bouillon broth. As it cooked, we drained it, and now we will be using this broth for our rice. So cut up some pork, some lean pork loin, or you can take a pork chop and cut it off, and this will be going in. The onions have now been cooking for approximately 5 minutes, and we're going to saute our meats until they're golden brown, not cooked through, because this dish is going to take a little bit. You don't want to cook through the meat, because then you're going to add the water, and then it has to cook for 20 or so minutes once the rice and the water come to a boil. So we're going to throw in our meats. First the pork. And have it on a medium-high. Paellas are also fun to cook on a beautiful open grill, like a Weber grill, big enough charcoal grill. And you would do the same type of technique. Cooks a little bit faster on the grill, but you can control the temperature. Now that we've added the pork and flipped it around, we'll wait a few minutes, and then we'll add the chicken. And then once the chicken is in there, we will then add the rice. The pork is nice and brown. Not on all sides, but getting there. And again, you don't want to cook it all the way through and then add your broth and then cook it for longer, because then your meat will get tough. And then it's not a very good paella. Your paella should be juicy. We'll put the pork on the outskirts. I'm going to kick up the heat a little bit here. Add a little bit more of our olive oil. And don't forget to season with your kosher salt. Kosher salt is my salt of preference. So here we go. Where's the chicken? And this is like a family pack of chicken thighs that has been deboned. The bones have been sauteed in oil and in water with salt, and a Goya bouillon chicken package. So a Goya chicken package of Goya, some kosher salt, onions, chicken bones, put in a pan with 6 cups of water, cook for 30 minutes. drain and use your broth for your paella. So this will saute. This will saute for another 15 minutes or so until things start turning golden brown on the outside. You want it golden brown on the outside, not cooked through. We're sauteing this, putting some kosher salt. When the next step will be putting the rice, so the rice takes on the flavor, soaks up the flavors. Then we'll put in the broth, and we'll put in some peas to put in some colors. Okay, this has been cooking for 15 minutes. We make sure we stir it around. And now that everything is nice and sort of golden brown on all sides, some pieces may not, but halfway or 3/4 of them are. We will now add the rice to take on the flavors that we've put on here. The rice is a short grain rice with our favorite friend, saffron, which adds the color to our paella. And now we will mix the rice with the meats, incorporate it so it's well blended before we put in the broth. And we're going to increase the heat because we got to bring the broth to a boil. Make sure everything is well spread in the pan, nice and even. We're going to flatten it all out. Everything is now well incorporated. And it's good to use at least a spatula. There we go. So we get everything away from the edges because the heat doesn't reach that far. Flatten everything else out here. It has a nice golden color. Our saffron. And we put in our 6 cups of chicken broth. If you don't have homemade chicken broth, you can use the boxes, which are fine. Use a low sodium boxed one. And you're going to put it in here, bring it to a boil. Once it reaches boil, it's going to cook for another 20 minutes. Make sure your chicken broth is at least room temperature, that it's not cold from the fridge. You don't want to cut the cooking time. So 3 cups of rice to 6 cups of broth and a cup of peas. These are frozen peas. Now we're going to wait for this to get to a boil. And once it comes to a boil, we'll cook it for another 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll put it in an oven of 350 degrees for the last 10 minutes. So bring it to a boil, 20 minutes on the stove. Once that all the broth has been absorbed, put it in the oven for another 10 minutes. It has come to a boil. We're going to stir it up, opening up some pockets so it can get all over the place. If you want to cover this so it cooks a little bit faster, you're going to just use a lot of tin foil. We're going to cook it until all of this has been absorbed by the rice. And again, we're going to let it come. We're going to cook it for at least 25 minutes in this process. Well, the paella has now cooked for 20 or so minutes up here. As you can see, the broth has disappeared, has been absorbed by the rice and the chickens and the meat. We did cover it with some tin foil to help it cook. You'll still see some juices here, but what we're going to do now is going to put it in the oven for the last 10 minutes. And I would put it in the oven with a little bit of a covering because you don't want it to dry out. You don't want it to get dried. So we're going to put part of our tin foil, loosely fitted, leaving some gaps. And we're going to cook it for the last 10 minutes in our oven. That's been preheated. Let's take a look now at our paella dish. I believe it's been in there for a good 10 minutes. We're going to pull it out, uncover it, let it get to a nice eating stage. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that color. Shut off your oven. Paella. It is so delicious. As a main dish, you can, don't forget, you can add this, dress this up with seafood, but this is a chicken pork paella. Enjoy!